What can you tell us about Tyreek and the aftermath of the surgery and just anything you know and can share?
Oh well, he's currently in surgery right now. It's a major knee procedure, multiple ligaments, and yeah, obviously his season's done. And our focus is, as a team, to support him. I think the there was some competitive greatness from our doctors. For critical execution in a very timely fashion that did very well for the injury for him. Um, you I can't say enough about that. And our as a team, we're supporting our teammate, and and he's very steadfast and on us as a team getting ready for the Carolina Panthers. That's kind of where that's at.
Considering how gruesome the injury looked and what we've seen with, and as you mentioned, multiple ligaments, is this a multi-surgery thing? What does the recovery timetable look like for
You
him?
know, I can't forecast. It's not. It hasn't been deemed to be anything beyond this surgery, and we're very hopeful for it to turn out well. But that no, it hasn't been explained to be absolute necessity. So it's just executing this procedure and seeing what happens from there.
It was, according to all the internet doctors who do sports now, they said the fact that he didn't have to have it that night and could wait till the morning was a good sign. Were you informed that that's the
Well,
case?
that's kind of why I'm overemphasize like the medical care was top flight when we absolutely needed it, and it's most absolute necessity. So yes, that is, I would say, from all the um, medical knowledge that I have or been sped up on, that you're exactly right. That the of the avoid or the major things that you want to avoid in something that serious was avoided.
I know the easy answer is next man up, but the fact is Tyreek has skills that nobody else on this team does. How do you go about moving forward in your offense without him? How much of a reworked offense can we expect?
No, I think this is something that I think it was alluded to last night, but the 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 nature of this off season in particular kind of forced our hand with you know working forward without him, not just his energy, but you're trying to facilitate offense and utilize a lot of other players. There's a lot of guys that contribute on the team. Yeah, you're exactly right. You don't just copy paste or say, hey, it's one human being. It's not that. However, it's a combination of various individuals, not just in the receiver room, that I think need to continue to develop and now have a heightened sense of urgency, so that we can spread the ball around and make up for his production.
If I could piggyback off of that, after Tyreek's injury, you guys score a couple touchdowns on the next two drives and a lot of big personnel, right? 22, 21. I even saw triple Ys on one play. I was curious to get your perspective in two parts. First, how you and your staff were able to adjust to that situation, but also the players' execution. And then,
Well, I think both are critical. I think you you over the course of the this being my fourth year here with particularly both Tyreek and Waddle, you and then the various other contributors that we have on the team. You find ways to create a game plan for you to have bullets in the chamber for the play after dudes way downfield, or you're in a series and you're trying to keep the defense off balance. So that's always been something built within our game planning process. But for the guys to heed to Reek's advice going off the field, and then to jump in and have some point of attack blocking execution things that were very, very good. And then the way Vaughn was running, it was I thought very it's what you need to see from your team, not only execution, but drive and passion when you have one of your players go down, particularly Tyreek. So I thought it was an outstanding response, and I think we did 2 runs and a pass to get in the end zone, and it was I think the first time that we created a 2-score lead, which we're able to continue to do for the rest of the game. That I thought was an important factor in winning it.
Looking ahead, do you think defenses change how they defend your offense? Will you see more 8-man fronts and less 2 high safeties?
I think the quick answer is it'll change. But at the same time, I think teams want to prevent explosives, and will do that as long as we if we don't earn stuff on the ground or on the line of scrimmage, they'll give us space. No one's gonna make themselves vulnerable in the pass for no run threat. So I think it has a bigger effect on how defenses play us if we're not getting big gains or running the ball well versus 2-shell defenses. They'll continue to play 2-shell, but obviously the formula changes, which is something that your formula is changing every week for how you deem teams, or you anticipate teams will defend you. So it'll be much of the same in that way, which is the nature of the National Football League.
Jason Sanders and Andrew Meyer, are either one of them approaching preparedness to return?
Well, yes, they're approaching, but not quite the topic for this week, for sure.
I want to ask you about NWI and Taj Washington and also Theo Weiss. When you didn't have Tyreek, and a lot of those guys had the opportunity to play and develop and gain chemistry with Tua, what did you learn about them in their game that I guess will hopefully pay dividends?
I really got a ton of opportunities to have competitive situations, like you said, with Tua, and you learned the reason why they're here is because we see their ability to help our team. And I think the biggest thing is so of the players. So what will be coming from internal pressure from within, from the locker room, is those guys being able to operate, play in, play out at our standard, which is 11 players playing together and being unified in their assignments, and that's the tough part, but the fun part is watching young guys grow, particularly when there's an added opportunity. So they'll have to be to be a effective offense to contribute to a winning team. You have to minimize your self-inflicted issues, and so young players have to be really on the game plan, and week in, week out that changes. So that challenge, they've been diligently working at that, and we'll need them to continue really take a step in a productive direction for us to make up for that. What we've lost with Tyreek, we can gain through the accumulation of the sum of the parts, and it's not just one individual.
Do you feel like, will the team make any moves, I guess, in free agency to bring another receiver in over this next week, or do you think you guys have the answers here in house?
We're always deep diving on that. We've had we have discussions on what's out there anytime a player gets injured, and then we assess short term, long term, relative to our own assets. So we'll be looking at that. I know Chris and his staff are as we speak, and there could potentially be something. There could potentially not. It all depends on the availability of whomever we deem and what we have in house. So I feel very confident in the guys that we have. Does someone make us better for the short term? That's a different conversation. And then so we'll see how that plays out.
Do you have an idea of how significant the nerve damage may have been around the injury? And just to confirm, it's like dislocated knee in addition to the ACL and ligament damage.
I think I wouldn't jump absolutely on the nerve stuff. I've heard good things. That I haven't heard anything negative about that. Several ligaments, including the ACL, are part of the dislocation.
You guys have unfortunately had experience losing top players from Tua to Chubb to Phillips, etc. What can you tell us about the shock value on the field of seeing that, and then the shock value off the field of having to adjust in the locker room and as a coaching staff?
So I think it's one of the things that you don't that aren't talked about, but it's a rep that you have to master. Unfortunately, in a contact sport with 100% injury rate, it's something that is part of the success of all successful teams in the National Football League, is that you're adjusting and somebody's stepping up and you're someone's stepping into a new role, and a collection of people have to really take positive steps forward in their game for you to be able to win in this league. So it's something that isn't just unique to us. It's a challenge that it doesn't matter how difficult it is. No one really cares. You have to find a way to get yourself to continue to get better, like all teams need to, for you to stay in the win column or stack wins, as we like to say. So the key is that you understand that football is a team sport, that sometimes it's something that happens to a lot of teams, and you have to be emotionally focused and find a way. And a lot of times with guys like that, particularly this off season where Tyreek has invested so much in his teammates, that you're inspired to to pick up the slack and make sure that they don't have the double somber moment of the injury, which you can't control, and then have to have it happen in a loss. You just try to do your best with what you can control, support your teammate, and try to get in the win column.
I wanted to ask what Cole Strange showed you to earn that start yesterday, and what he showed you in the game.
Well, I think he was very, very impressive in how he took to adapting to our system. A lot of times, what we ask players to do, there's some distinct differences in how you play play in, play out, and you can learn a lot about a player simply how much they just dive in, almost trustful with the schematic or really the technique and fundamental focus, and you can see how what was really impressive about him is how bold he was, and from the first individual that he had, he jumped off the screen, and his teammates could feel, okay, this is why this guy's here. So can't say enough about his preparation. It's difficult to start in a new offense, regardless of how many accredited seasons you have. But there's for him to be on point with all the cadences, for him to be in, there wasn't any plays that he was going the wrong direction or going. These things are difficult, that are very common when you're jumping in. But we kind of had a feeling of confidence based upon everything that he had done from the first day he got here. So very, very impressive. And I know even though each NFL game is very difficult, you're always matched up against very good players. It probably doesn't get more. It probably gets easier for him. It doesn't get more difficult than prime time. A week and a half or 2 weeks here, and getting the start. So I was very happy with his performance.
With Cole, obviously reminds us of right guard. With James Daniels, does that remain, you think, a long-term thing? Obviously, he's got at least one more week.
I wouldn't. We're still a week away from the window, and there's a little bit of time. I'm not sure how much you define long-term, but it's not in the next week. I know that, and he's progressing, and we'll see how that plays out. This will be. I'll have more information after this week, which will be a important one, like they all are for guys in those situations.